Now your old Uncle Cycling Highlights hasn't been feeling too well for the past few days. But don't worry, one top-quality blood bag later and everything's well again, pumped up to the max to deliver your enjoyment and fun. Leave your like in tribute to this channel, as well as the two histrionic stage winners in Asturias during the Vuelta Espana. There's the promising Pablo Castrillo and the classic Pablo Soler. Congratulations, lads! Especially outstanding was the performance of the Spanish rider of the team sponsored by a pharmaceutical company. Seeing his Strava data is absolutely shocking. With his 74 kilos of weight, he still destroyed an accomplished, dangerous climber, the man without a nationality, Mr. Vlasov, of a mere 68 kilos, and this on the 15% ramps of the Cuito Negro. And that means moving around 450 watts on those hard sections, after having burned 4,300 kcals on the whole stage, and having spent several days in breakaways during this Vuelta. Undoubtedly, Castrillo has been the great discovery of this competition. His previous results were promising, but he didn't have any victories as a professional. But now he leaves the Vuelta as a future Spanish star, and with a 4-year contract at Sky, who are desperately in need of new secret formulas if they want to win again. The best of all is that neither Lance Armstrong in his podcast, nor the promising Castrillo himself at the end of the stage could believe what they'd just done. So why should we believe it? Now, different again was the triumph of the Andorran Pablo Soler in Lagos de Covadonga. Very curious after having tried everything the previous week. He obviously recharged with some of his favourite ice cream on the rest day, and so got into his 5th breakaway of more than 120 kilometres, and this on the coldest day of the entire Vuelta, winning in the break against other accomplished climbers like Filippo Zanna or Mathieu Riccitello. And so he achieved his 3rd Grand Tour victory, all of them in the Vuelta Espana, and on even years. And so now he can return to his classic role and favourite pastime, insulting journalists and teasing the staff after his well-deserved triumph. If you want to know all his controversies, subscribe now to this channel and follow us on our personal Twitter, @UncleCycling, and there you'll be aware of everything that happens in the world of cycling, such as injuries that seem to never stop happening in the cycling world. In 2024, the Rabobank team seems to be suffering from some kind of voodoo curse. Poor Jan Uijtenbrooks, he was not only suffering from the iliac artery, finishing last on some days and then arriving with the favourites on others, he also had a brush with the cursed COVID-19 and so had to abandon the Vuelta Espana, as did the great Belgian superstar and bot, Wout van Aert, although in his case it was due to an unfortunate crash that caused huge damage to his knee, just when he was going to consolidate the King of the Mountains jersey in his umpteenth breakaway in this Vuelta, and so achieve a historic double of secondary classifications. Thankfully, the beloved bot has not suffered any fracture, and at the moment he's travelled back to his own country to recover for the European and World Championships, which will be held in a few weeks. His arch-nemesis, the son and grandson of dopers, Van der Poel, also had to go home in the Benelux Tour, which was won, of course, by Poggy's friend, Tim Wellens. MVDP and his near crash in the time trial, we already brought you those images a few days ago. Both men will prepare very well at home for their goals, and this is a clear advantage, but at the same time they won't have that competition rhythm that they need for such hard championships. We will see what the final results have to say. Another rider who's had to abandon the Vuelta due to a crash was the Asturian from the Benesto team, Pelayo Sanchez, a dangerous cyclist with very good contacts who could emulate the legendary doper Carlos Paredo when he won with hilarious data in the biological passport in the Lagos de Covadonga in 2010. But sadly, he will have to wait for another opportunity to shine in front of his countrymen in this race. But after this tidal wave of bad news, we can now bring you some very good news. The definitive recovery of Egan Bernal, the popular Colombian winner of the Giro and the Tour de France. He's finally been operated on that damnable herniated disc that was prevented him from performing consistently on his steel horse, and has been doing so since 2020. According to his own words, it prevented him from being competitive on long mountain passes. And although the Sky team doesn't have the best marginal gains since Dave Brailsford became more concerned with soccer, with the signing of Castrillo and the return of Bernal, fans of the British team can once again dare to dream they can hope to fight for the top positions in the big races, as well as trying to win some minor ones. Eganito is clear. His goal for 2025 is to win the Vuelta Espana, something that from here we think could be very complicated if our dear Slovenian alien decides to compete in it. But it could be worse. It could be the whiner Ben O'Connor. Yes, the leader of the Vuelta Espana, now a mere 5 seconds ahead of the Slovenian skier, has once again displayed his whining side, being captured by the Marco cameras at the end of the Lagos de Covadonga stage. Now, some rascal at the casino team, obviously inspired by the spirit of Contotrol, told the Australian whiner that the podium was 15 kilometres from the finish line, but it wasn't. Everyone was waiting for him, and O'Connor was late for the podium ceremony, being even more desperate and angry about it than usual, as he was going to be fined financially and docked a few UCI points. Poor O'Connor, he'll never learn to live without complaining or suffering fits of anger, especially if he goes on like that. Now, another rider who was sanctioned was the Slovenian skier. He's practically closed the 5-minute lead that the crybaby had enjoyed. But Rogler would already be in the red jersey if he hadn't drafted when changing bikes on the day of the Cuito Negro stage. 20 seconds of sanction, for something which the same organisation expelled Michele Ferrari's client Vincenzo Nibali just a few years earlier. We're guessing that they didn't just kick the Italian out for that, eh? At least cycling fans saw the attacker Enric Mas attacking from afar on the day of the Lagos de Covadonga, showing that his spirit has changed and that now he deserves to finish on the final podium of the Vuelta Espana. There are only 5 stages left, and we are going to see them all through here, starting with today's less interesting stage, finishing in Santander. 141 kilometres with 2 medium mountain passes in the middle of the stage that could be useful as a launch pad for a breakaway, since there are very few teams with sprinters left. There's the team for hair doping and Sunweb. So we'll see if the new green jersey, Kaden Groves, could take the victory, or perhaps some rider could surprise everyone by attacking from afar. Stay until the end of the video to find out, of course. 4 men with little recognised pedigree tried their best. Riders such as Jonas Gregard of Lotto, because there's always a Dane, Thibaut Guernelec of Bretagne, Thomas Champion of Cofidis, and Xavier Isasa of Euskaltel. But all of them were swept up by the bunch with just a few kilometres to go on a cold, rainy day. Synchros Fera Kampernaerts tried his classic surprise attack with 1 kilometre to go, but it didn't quite work out, and so Kaden Groves overtook Pavel Bittner to take his 3rd stage win in this Vuelta Espana and definitively win the green jersey. Ultimately, it's a day that very few will remember, but at least you've learned all about it, thanks to us. And now, take a look at the video on the screen. You are sure to love it.